Hello, this was Szabs' pasta meal. Very nice looking meal that. Anyway, now it's time to go on and do a little bit more. Today I'm going to be cooking some kangaroo stew. Now, with this meal we can make kangaroo stew, or if we want to add sour cream we can make kangaroo goulash. But today we'll be doing the stew because in my opinion it tastes a bit nicer. Okay, first things first, we start off by peeling mashed potato. Now, we're going to have the stew on mashed potato, so we'll just peel a few potatoes and then we'll have it all ready. Just peel them up, it's a fairly easy job. If you don't know how to peel potato, you're probably not going to get anything out of this show anyway. So, almost ready, virtually done, a little bit more, but you don't have to be pedantic with how you peel them, providing the main skin has been cut off. And here we have it. Okay, another two that I prepared earlier. Now, our old mate, the knife, cut them up to about this sort of size, just into some little pieces. With potato, the smaller you cut it up, the quicker it should boil. That is a general rule. And with these, we're just going to take these over to the pan, to the stove, and put them in the pan. And there we go. And grab a little bit of water for them to boil. A lot of people go on about whether you should boil the water first or whether you shouldn't boil the water first or what have you. Really, it doesn't make a hell of a lot of difference. In fact, probably a little bit much water for 3 potatoes, so I'd actually get a bit less. Just so the potatoes are not above the surface, but this amount of water should be fairly good for that amount of potato. We're not cooking for a whole army here. If we did have everyone here, we would cook many more potatoes, but we're just going to cook 3 potatoes in this lot and serve the stew on top of it. So while the potatoes are waiting, we'll go back to the stew and start preparing the ingredients. Just piff these first and we'll put them in our compost heap later. And let's start. Now, the first ingredient I like to do is the onion. I always use red onions. They're better for you, they contain more antioxidants, and quite simply they look nicer. Nice purple colour. The general rule when you're cooking anything with vegetables, the more different colours you use, the more different vitamins you've got. So why use a white or a brown onion when you can use a red one? So we'll cut our onions up, cut the tops off. These are very nice onions here from Preston Market. Like this, and just peeling the outside edges off. And I like to use a few of these. I'm using 2 here. You can never really have too much onion in my opinion. It's incredibly good for you. And this is a lovely one. See how this is bleeding purple juice. So just prepare this. Take all the outside hard edge off, and we've got lovely onion here, lovely purple onion. Often you do this one reasonably quickly, otherwise you'll get tears in your eyes from too much of it. Now with this one I'll just cut off this piece too. Onions do tend to go bad occasionally, so there's none of the affected area on this. Yeah, that's pretty good. And same with the other one. Okay, we chop them up like this. Unlike Szabs, I'm a little bit more pedantic with my vegetables, how I actually chop them, the size of them. Of course, it's different with different recipes. with my goulash I quite like, or my stew in this case, I quite like to have small pieces of onion and capsicum. Just tends to cook a little bit better and allow the meat to be the main focus of the dish. So that's our onion. Put it on a nice white plate, and on this white plate, have a look how lovely that onion actually looks. Can't really get much better than that. Okay, next we're going to do our capsicum. I like to use a red capsicum. Again, the whole thing, just like this. Obviously they're sometimes a funny shape, but we're not going to let that bother us. And here we go. So, now this onion is starting to take my eyes to the bush. It's quite a strong one. So cut up our capsicum in long slices. Long thin slices so we can eventually dice it. Now the easiest way to do that is just cut lengthways nice long pieces of capsicum. Just like this. Nice red capsicum to complement the red eyes from that red onion. Now chop it up like this, just dice it up into small pieces, and Bob's your uncle. Almost ready with that. Be careful not to chop your fingers. I remember once I was cooking up a stewed apple dessert and I sliced one of my fingers when cutting up the apple, so obviously it wasn't particularly appealing, or as one of my friends used to say, it wasn't particularly apple peeling. So we'll just use the same plate. Let's try to keep them a little bit separate because we'll be adding our onions first and we'll be adding the capsicum after. So make sure you keep them separate on the plate. Also, good tip, it actually saves washing up. We're just using the one plate for these ingredients, and we can save our time and effort later. In fact, you can even eat off this plate. Alright, third ingredient is the mushrooms. I slice them this way. Some people obviously may do them a different way, but I really like to just slice them long ways, and it's just to bring out more flavour and so they cook down quite nicely. And of course it doesn't really matter how many you use. If you're a mushroom person you can use more. If you're not really a mushroom person you can use less. They always say you are what you eat. A lot of these people say, well, I'm a fun guy, so I'll be cooking up this fungi. My favourite, of course, is someone who eats a lot of nuts. Well, it goes without saying, you are what you eat. Anyway, another one of my favourite dishes is fruitcake. Now, we're about ready to start the meat, so we'll just put the onion in the pan, and then transfer the mushroom to this, and then we're ready to start.